So Dana Bash, the CNN host, said something so disgusting and so shameful and so pathetic that in a world that made sense, she would be forced to come out and apologize or lose her job. That's how bad this is, what you're about to see. She's doing this segment here, talking about the Nazis who were marching in Ohio, okay? Listen to what she says.
Let you go. I want to talk about something that happened over the weekend, not in your district, in Columbus. A group of neo-Nazis paraded through that city wearing, waving swastikas, covering their faces. This is not the first time this sort of thing has happened in Ohio in particular, and of course it's continuing to spread. We don't know what side of the aisle this comes from. I mean, typically neo-Nazis are for the far right.
Yeah.
You had protests from the far left at your house.
Correct.
We don't know what side of the aisle this comes from. Talking about literal Nazis marching down the street with swastikas. We don't know what side of the aisle this comes from, Dana Bash. Are you Steven Crowder? How dishonest can somebody be? What a sick, sick joke. You guys know why she's saying this? I'll tell you why she's saying this. There was a video that went viral a few days ago. Dana Bash got confronted by Code Pink. And the reason Code Pink confronted her, by the way, a Jewish woman who's part of Code Pink confronted her and basically said, you're providing cover for Israel. They're doing a genocide. You're not calling a spade a spade. You should be ashamed of yourself. That was the gist of it. What did she do? She took to Twitter and immediately tarred and smeared these people who confronted her as anti-Semitic, even though it was a Jewish woman who was confronting her. And they're confronting her over her disgusting and grotesque support for the government of Israel as they wipe Gaza off the map. So she got all in her feelings because she was correctly called out for supporting a genocidal atrocity currently unfolding in front of our eyes. And now she's got an axe to grind. So now she goes on air and says, maybe these Nazis are left-wing. We don't know what side of the aisle they're from. She's not done yet, though. She's going to do some more smearing of the left.
You had protests from the far left at your house.
Correct.
As a Jewish member.
Yeah, they slept outside my house for days. You know, my takeaway is this has got to stop. And the surge of anti-Semitism is global, but it's certainly here in the United States. And it does require leaders on both sides of the aisle to say, don't do that.
Is your party doing that enough?
I think some in my party are doing a ton and some are silent.
Did you hear what she said? Is your party doing that enough? Meaning, is your party condemning anti-Semitism enough? Which, you know who that's taking a shot at, right? Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and now all these idiots have been going after AOC. Because AOC said, look, if we're going to talk about lobbyists and special interests having outsized influence, let's talk about AIPAC. Let's talk about AIPAC. Dumping hundreds of millions of dollars into Democratic races, trying to get the more pro-Israel Democrats through. By the way, the ads that AIPAC runs don't even mention Israel. Why? Because they know it's unpopular. So they don't mention it. But they try to get these pro-Israel Democrats across the finish line. So that's a shot. Dana Bash is taking a shot here now, AOC. And Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and the few Democrats in the country who actually are reasonable on this issue and are willing to say, hey, Israeli money has too much of a hold on our politics. It's not just Israeli money. Also, the Saudi lobby is phenomenally powerful. Wall Street, health insurance companies, pharma, all that's legit. But if you bring up AIPAC, all of a sudden, you're an anti-Semite. And what they're doing here, they're hiding behind identity politics to deflect from support of genocide. The left is not opposed to anybody because they're Jewish. The left is opposed to anybody who is supporting genocide, who's in favor of arming and funding the Israeli government as they kill 90% civilians and over 50,000 people. 90% of Gaza is displaced. 97% of the water is undrinkable in Gaza. This is what people are pissed off about. This is why there's protesting. To conflate left-wingers who want to stop a genocide, stop carpet bombing children, with right-wingers marching down the street with swastikas is disgusting, it's grotesque, and it's cheap identity politics where you try to deflect and obfuscate from the real issue. I'm sorry. This bullshit doesn't work anymore. You can't just make some hollow nonsense identity point and pretend like, oh, I'm just being criticized because I'm Jewish or whatever it is. You can't do that. It's not going to work. It is not going to work. These same people were protesting Joe Biden. Joe Biden's not Jewish. The reason they're protesting Joe Biden is because he's arming and funding Israel as they commit a genocide. And even when Biden says, Israel, you have 30 days to stop starving northern Gaza and allow in some aid, Israel put its middle finger up to Biden, didn't change course at all, and then Biden still cucked himself and said, okay, I'm still going to arm you and fund you. Why don't you talk about that, Dana Bash? Why don't you talk about that? You got nothing to say about that? Let me ask you guys a question. When was the last time Dana Bash did a full detailed segment giving you the specifics? Has Dana Bash told you that 10% of the population in Gaza is either killed, injured, missing, or detained? Has she told you that? Has she told you that the low number of Palestinians killed is 50,292, and you have numbers as high as 118,000, according to U.S. doctors who were in Gaza, or 189,000, according to The Lancet, when you look at direct and indirect war deaths? Has she told you that? Has she told you that over 50% of the casualties are women and children? Has she told you that 3,600 Palestinians are detained and they're prisoners and they're hostages? Has she told you that? Has she told you that there's over 100,000 Palestinians who are now injured? Has she told you that? Has she told you 172 journalists have been killed by Israel? Has she told you 987 healthcare professionals like doctors and nurses have been killed by Israel? Has she shown you the video of literal Israeli concentration camps where in one instance they graped a Palestinian to death and it's on tape? Has she showed you the comments from Smotrich or Ben Gvir or any of the other dead-eyed psychopaths who are saying the most genocidal things you've ever heard? It seems like it's quotes directly from Mein Kampf. Has she showed you those? No, because she's too busy playing the victim and pretending like all criticisms of the genocidal government of Israel are anti-Semitic, and she's equating left-wing anti-genocide protesters with literal Nazis on the right. That is disgusting. That is grotesque. That is pathetic. It's a dirty trick. She should be absolutely positively ashamed of herself, and in a world that made sense, she would lose her job. Or at the very least have to come out and apologize for pretending like the Nazis may have been left-wing because your feelings got hurt because Code Pink correctly called out your support for the genocide in Gaza. I'm so sick of this bullshit, man. I'm so sick of it. How many Palestinians have to die for mainstream media to care or for our politicians to care? Is there literally no number? If Netanyahu pressed a button and nuked all of Gaza today, would all these people still be singing the same tune? Because my guess is they would. Because we're already watching systemic starvation of all of North Gaza. North Gaza doesn't exist. It's wiped off the map. The people who remain there are now being completely starved right in front of our eyes. I mean, how many schools were bombed? How many hospitals were bombed? We've gone through the numbers in the past, but the numbers are absolutely astonishing. It's astonishing. And no, she doesn't want to talk about any of that. She has to ignore the facts, the specifics, the countless atrocities. Every single human rights group in the world screaming bloody murder, screaming this has to stop, screaming what the hell are you guys doing? Ignore all of it because her feelings got hurt. So let me smear left-wing pro-peace protesters as anti-Semitic and pretend like maybe Nazis are left-wing. The media in this country is sickening. It is fucking sickening. None of these people are serious. I hope you understand that. None of these people are telling you the truth. None of them are serious. They're all ideologically captured fucking losers. That's what they are. And because of their horrible coverage of this, it has also aided and abetted the genocidal maniacs in the Israeli government. Because God forbid you criticize them, you must be an anti-Semite. Maybe you're a left-wing Nazi because you don't like Netanyahu, who's the most obvious war criminal in the world and should spend the rest of his life behind bars. I'm sick of this shit. She needs to apologize, or in a world that made sense, this is so egregious, she shouldn't even have a job with CNN anymore because she sucks at her job. She's not giving you the news. She's not giving you the facts. She's not giving you the information. She's not correctly covering things. She is deflecting for genocidal war criminals. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.